Chapter 12, Anchoring Your New Identity, Integrating New Habits into Everyday Life for Good. You can go through a transformation. You can shift your mindset, change your environment, even reshape your body. But unless new habits are fully integrated into your daily life, they risk becoming a short-lived spark instead of a sustainable fire. I've learned this the hard way. True transformation doesn't happen when you do something. It happens when you become someone who naturally does it. Why do habits revert? Because we often try to change behavior without changing identity. A person who forces themselves to run every morning, yet still sees themselves as lazy, will eventually return to the couch. Your actions always catch up with how you see yourself. So the real question isn't, how do I force myself to stick with this habit? It's, how do I become someone for whom this habit feels natural? 3 steps to locking in habits for life. 1. Tie the habit to your identity. Not, I read every day, but I'm someone who grows through knowledge daily. Not, I meditate when I have time, but I'm someone who values inner peace and creates it every day. Every action becomes proof of a new identity. And the more you repeat that action, the deeper it embeds into who you are. 2. Create rituals. Not just tasks, to-do lists die quickly. Rituals live long. I don't just drink a glass of water in the morning. I begin my day by honoring my body. It feels different, not like pressure, but a way of life. Rituals don't depend on motivation. They become part of you. And that's what transforms a temporary habit into a lasting one. 3. Build defenses for your weak moments. Even your best habits can fall apart during stress, fatigue, or chaos. That's why I built a support system. The 2-day rule. I can miss 1 day, but never 2 in a row. Plan B. If I don't have time for a full practice, I do a mini version, 3 minutes of meditation instead of 20. Reminders from future me. I record short voice notes or write letters from the future version of myself to remind me why I started when things get tough. Design an environment that works for you. Here's a powerful truth. Willpower should be your last line of defense, not the first. Real change becomes sustainable when your space, your stuff, and your people play on your side. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow, not your phone. Want to wake up earlier? Dim the lights an hour before bed. Want to eat better? Remove junk from sight. Your environment is either a silent ally or a loud saboteur. Choose your team wisely. Integration equals not control. But freedom, here's what I've realized. Integration isn't about rigid control. It's about freedom, to live in harmony with the person you've become. When the habit stops being a struggle and becomes a natural choice, when it shifts from I have to I want to, that's when the reboot becomes real. Conclusion. The future is already here. Now you just need to lock it in. You've made a giant journey, from self-discovery to transformation, from seeking your true self to building new practices. But the real reward isn't one giant leap. It's in the 1,000 quiet confirmations every day that you are the new version of you. Aligning your behavior with your renewed values, when change becomes real, not just visible, but lived. There comes a moment after a deep inner transformation, a moment when you no longer just want to be different, but you feel that you already are. Yet one invisible trap often lurks nearby. Old habits creep back in if your new behavior isn't rooted in what you truly value. This is where the real challenge begins, translating values from awareness into action. Because only then can you truly anchor your new identity. Do your actions actually reflect your values? That's the question I started asking myself daily, and honestly, the answer stung at first. I said I valued family connection, yet I prioritized business calls over dinner with my wife. I said I valued health, yet I neglected sleep and nutrition. That was a wake-up call. Because true values aren't written on your wall or in your journal. They're written in your daily schedule, your choices, your behavior. Values are a compass, not a catchphrase. Sometimes we confuse values with goals or desires. But values are a deep internal orientation, your why in the world. For example, if your value is authenticity, you don't try to please everyone. You act truthfully, even when it's uncomfortable. If your value is growth, you don't fear mistakes, because each one shapes who you are becoming. When your actions start aligning with this inner compass, you feel whole. And that's one of the most powerful forms of strength I've ever known. How to align your actions with your new values. 3 steps 1. Write down your top 3 post-transformation values, not the ones that sound good, but the ones that actually move you. Look at your transformation. What changed in you? What became truly important? Mine were freedom of choice, depth in relationships, impact through meaning too. Audit your actions. Take a blank sheet and write out a typical day in your life. Then ask, which actions support my new values, and which ones sabotage them? This part hurts, but it's powerful awareness. That's when I realized most of my time wasn't going toward what I valued, but toward what pulled me out of habit or inertia. 3. Build bridges between values and actions. Ask yourself, what 3 things can I do daily to embody my values? How can I shift my weekly priorities to feel like I'm living on purpose? Maybe it's a morning walk with your child, an hour of silent time without your phone, a weekly honest conversation with your team. These small things, they cement your new identity. Being yourself is a daily action, not a static state. I used to think being yourself meant simply giving yourself permission to be. But I've come to understand being yourself is a daily choice, to act according to your values even when it's hard. That's courage, that's responsibility. And in that choice, real freedom is born. Conclusion: integrity is a journey, not a destination. Aligning your behavior with your values isn't a one-time event. It's a process, like calibrating an inner compass. It may drift, but you keep returning to center, to who you've become, to who you're becoming. And in that, you find a deep sense of peace, clarity, and confidence, not because everything's perfect, but because everything is real. Shaping your new self-image after transformation, when change becomes who you are. There comes a moment when change no longer just feels real, it becomes part of you. It's the moment when you're no longer playing the role, you're living it. But between deep internal shifts and how you see yourself each day lies one of the most important phases of transformation. Consciously shaping your new self-image. Because if you don't shape it, someone else will, society will, your past will, old patterns waiting quietly will. Self-image is not a mirror, it's a choice. I used to think self-image was a reflection of who I am. In reality, it's a reflection of what you believe about yourself, and that means it can be rewritten. Not easily, but absolutely. Through this transformation, you've already discovered new qualities within, new habits, new reactions. But if you still see yourself as who you used to be, those old roles will try to pull you back. That's why you must go beyond updating yourself and write a new inner narrative to identify with. Your new inner narrative, how to write it. I started with a single honest question. Which version of me is now the most real? Not idealized, not perfect, but alive, strong. A person who walked through darkness and chose to shine. Here's what I wrote. I am someone who chooses freedom over fear. I am someone who transforms pain into power. I am a creator, not a victim. This wasn't just affirmation, it became my inner code. The post-transformation self, 3 levels of identity. 1, how you see yourself. This is your foundation. When you respect yourself, the world starts to reflect that. When you doubt yourself, the world picks up on those doubts. Start speaking to yourself as the most valuable person in your life. Ask yourself, who do I see myself as today? Who do I choose to be? 2, how you act. Your actions are the mirror of your identity. Every time you behave like the new you, that identity roots deeper within. If your new identity is a creator, create something today. If it's a leader, make a decision. If it's a free soul, choose from dignity, not pressure. 3, how you relate to others. Your environment may still see the old you. That's okay. But unless you set new boundaries, you'll get pulled back into old patterns. Start by saying out loud who you've become, not to explain, but to declare. New identity is not a mask. It's a deep choice of self-awareness isn't just knowing you're different, it's living like it, speaking like it, choosing like the person you've become. That takes courage, because the old role is comfortable, but it's no longer yours, and walking away from it, that's the real reboot. Conclusion: your new self-image is your new level of life. When your inner identity aligns with your outer life, you become whole. It's not about being perfect, it's about being real. It's the feeling that you're no longer pretending to be someone, you're simply being yourself, and that is more than enough.